Welcome back to another episode of Industry Talk with Braden Andre, and I'm here in Paris with
Marvin.
And let us know, who have you cast for?
I've cast for Citizen K magazine, Numero. I've worked also with brands like Dior, Fendi. I've worked with many brands like regarding like fashion, so magazines, beauty, and commercial.
And how many years have you been doing this for?
6 years now.
6 years.
Yeah.
Nice.
6 years.
And so you're a casting director here in Paris, and
Yes.
you're the first casting director that I am bringing onto my podcast show, and I'm really excited to talk to you and just kind of like
Very
understand.
honored to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Very first time I'm doing
Yes.
this. So
And what time is it? It's about like 11 in the morning, and that's pretty early for Parisians, yeah?
I'm not a morning person, like I told you, but yeah.
Did you have to travel far to get to where we're at right now?
Not that far, actually. I'm living in the suburbs, so literally, like, it's taking me like 30 minutes to be here.
Okay. And that's like usual, like distance to get to and from places around.
It depends, because like people was like, "Oh, you're living in suburbs? Yeah, like you're living too far." Like I've been living in Paris for 24 years, born and raised in Paris, but now I'm living in the suburb for 10 years, and I mean, I still have like straight connection to get to Paris, so it's fine for me. Like it's really fast, actually.
I think you're the first French person that I'm actually interviewing, because everyone that I've interviewed here so far have not been from France.
Yeah.
So you're the first French person that I'm talking.
Also, like the first French. Okay.
Yes, there you go. So
first casting director, first French.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, first of many. So you're a casting director, but I want to know what specifically you do as a casting director here in Paris, and what your background is, and how you kind of got to where you're at.
Yeah, sure. So basically, just so people know, a casting director is a person who's hired to cast people. So in general, like mostly in fashion, because this is like the industry where I'm working, they ask people, casting directors, to cast specific profile. So mostly like editorials, like shooting for magazine. On another aspect for the commercial, they're also casting, people for campaign, ads, lookbook, stuff like that. So it's really like you fulfilling the client needs, whether the brief is like looking for like a Caucasian model, an Asian model, or rather like the ethnicities of the model. And make sure that you choose the right profile for the right project, because when you're looking for someone for an editorial, it's not the same thing when you're looking for someone like for commercial, because there's some part of the brief which are different because of the feature of the models, because of the aid of the model, because someone doing editorial will not be the same people doing commercial. I mean, some can do both, but it really depending on the profile, the measurement, the aid, and the specific brief regarding the profile we cast.
So let's unpack those terms real quick. So a brief, I'm assuming, is this is the job and this is what we're looking for. A profile is this is the face, this is what their measurements are, and this is what this person looks like. That fits the brief.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're a casting director. Do you, as a casting director, seek out these jobs, or how does one become a casting director?
I wasn't really meant to be a casting director in the first place. Like I studied fashion for more than a decade, like specifically in pattern making, how to create a garment from the drawing to the sewing. But then I've dropped out because it was something like, I'm passionate about fashion since I was like a kid, but this part specifically, I feel like it wasn't for me. There's like other people like more talented than me too doing this, but I still like evolved around that scene, and I did many things around that. So at some point, because I also work as a stylist, as a men's stylist, but at some point I felt like this wasn't like really my call, and casting was something floating in my mind like for a while, but I never like really knew how to put a stepping it, because it was really like something that I wanted to do, but I'm like, how I'm gonna like be able to work there, because fashion is a small cycle, like very like elite.
Like, how do you break through into that circle, basically?
So basically, it was life experiences and also kind of closed doors and disappointment. I always say like everything happens for a reason, and I feel like at the time I was still, improving myself and also choosing, the path that I wanted to get into. And I was like, I felt like I was waiting too much on people and opportunities. So after talking also with friend, actually with my bestie, shout out to her. I felt like, yeah, why are you waiting on people? Why are you waiting on opportunities when you can literally like create, you know,
Right.
the opportunity? So literally it happened this way. So then I decided to literally like start from scratch, scouting friends, putting them into like projects.
But you, at that point though, you had connections already because you've been in the
Yeah,
industry.
I had connection already because it didn't happen like overnight.
Right.
I had connection because I was working as a men's stylist, you know, so I was already like
Known or had,
I mean, known a bit, but mostly like I had like relation with agencies because as a stylist, also you know you like part of a team with photographer
Right.
and like lighting and everything. It's also like you developing your network, and at that time I was already in touch with many model agencies, even if I wasn't doing casting at the time. So it was, I mean, easy in a way for me because I already had those connections, but still I had to work on that, improve myself, and also learn because I never did that before. Like I didn't did studies, like I studied fashion, but I did never studied like doing casting or stuff like that. So it was really something challenging for me, also getting out of my comfort zone. But I felt like, yeah, this was the my call and the right time to do it. So basically I started working with people, scouting friends, as I was saying, putting them in, you know, different projects, or really like was casting for shows, casting for editorials. And yeah, step by step, people started coming like to me, reaching out to me, and saw what I was doing, and it literally started like that.
building it up step by step.
Yeah,
Nice.
step by
And
step.
how long ago was that?
So I started this casting journey in 2019. A year later, COVID happened, as you may know. So it was really rough. I think the moment our things really get started was the moment like we were like put like lockdown.
Right.
So I was like, how I'm gonna, you know, figure this out, how I'm gonna move on, how I'm gonna like being able to do what I'm doing while being home. But I felt like, you know, it was a blessing in a way because I've learned a lot, like many people. I feel like it taught me also to being also patient, being kind to myself, and reminding myself that it's part of the journey, you know, when you like self-employed, when you like the only one, you know, making the decision, you have no one to tell you to do this or that, like kind of freedom.
Right.
So I felt like it was necessary with the process of me growing and evolving with what I was doing. So literally, I felt like also because of social network, it was easier to find people because this was the only way to find people at the moment because we were like staying home. I've learned a lot for myself like that and trying to expand my network and my client list and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself when you start your own business, and
Yeah,
you're the one
definitely.
that's dependent on when you make money. It's not for the weak of
Oh,
heart.
it's on you.
Yeah,
It's on you.
Which is kind of cool because for me, like I've only had, and I don't really consider it a real job, but I've only had one real job when I was like 18, and I worked at JCPenney Portrait Studio for 3 months, and I didn't know it was seasonal. And then they told me after Christmas, "Thank you for."
Yeah,
I'm
like bye.
like, what do you mean? Like, I thought I was you guys' employee. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then after that was the only job that I've ever worked. And now that I have actually had success after many, many years of struggle, it's really cool. It's kind of a flex. Like, wow, I've never submitted a resume before except for maybe that job. But I don't even think it was like, you know, I was 18 years old. I didn't have any experience. Never had to write a cover letter. I don't understand that lifestyle, and I'm so glad. I'm like, you know, I don't know what that's like. So,
But I mean, you know, everything like good or bad experiences, whatever the thing you experience in your life, it taught you something.
Yeah.
Like me, I felt like at some point I was stuck because people don't realize that, but fashion is a really, really, really tough industry. Like if you don't have the mindset to, you know, carry like those things, and even like mentally it can be like a toll, you know, on you. And I felt like at some point it's really important also to have a great, you know, support system, but also know what you want. Surround yourself with people who believes also in you.
Right.
But the support system is really important, whether like it's people you working with or whether it's like, you know, your friends. It's really important to have people who really see you and uplift you, you know.
Right.
And I feel what helped me is that I would have my best friend with me, which I've learned from, because when I started this journey, I was actually assisting her because she was a fashion stylist. So I feel like it also gave me the push to believe in myself, and that if she does it, I can do it, you know? So it's all about
Surround yourself with the right people.
Absolutely. And trust yourself. Trust yourself and love yourself.
Yeah, I think sometimes the difference between working in the fashion industry is the fact that a lot of people who are working here, they're self-employed, which means that a lot of people are chasing their own jobs and their own work. And it's very different than a corporate lifestyle, because in corporate, you get a W-2, you get a salary, you have guaranteed income. But when you're working in fashion, whether you're a photographer, a model, a stylist, a hair makeup artist, all of these people are self-employed. All of these people are waiting for their next job to come through, and it's not consistent, which means that the support is very important. The community you build is very important, because we're all in this together. We all don't know when the next paycheck is coming, but we love it, and we wouldn't have it any other way, because we'd rather be doing this than work at a 9-to-5 job. But I tell you guys this because you have to understand how to approach people in this industry, because that's when relationships become very, very important. And ensuring that you're building connections, but that are real relationships where people actually like you, and you're it's all relationship based. I imagine even more so here in Europe than anything. But going back into your casting directing experience, name the biggest brands and magazines that you've cast for.
Ooh, I worked for 2 years with a French magazine called Citizen K, which is very known in the sphere because it literally like been there like as much as Vogue or Numero. So it happened at a like it was literally after, way after COVID. I felt like I was struggling because when I started this casting journey, because of course, you know, you have to make money,
right?
You have to pay the bills. So at some point, I needed to have a side job while I was like, you know, starting this journey, but I was still having this side and focus on casting. But I felt like I couldn't do it the way I wanted to do, because I was, you know, between my side job and casting. So at that time I was like, this is not sitting right with me. Like I'm kind of struggling doing both, and I really wanted to be fully on casting. So I had to make this decision to quit this side job at the time. And literally like it was summer 2022, if I'm correct. Literally like a month like later, September, I got this opportunity to work with them thanks to my bestie, Tatiana, because she was the one hired as an artistic director for the magazine, because the previous one left and they were like seeking for one. So she was in this job applying process, and she put me in the loop. Like she told them, oh, actually I'm working with this casting director, which is my friend. So because the art director previously was doing both art direction and casting, so literally like the job was there, you know. So yeah, and I was like, yeah, literally like just a month after quitting this, like I really feel like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Like really meant to be. Still challenging because I worked already like with magazine before, but as a stylist. So this was the very, very first time for me working as a casting director for a magazine.
And you cast What projects? All of the projects for the
Oh
magazine?
yeah, like so basically Citizen K. So they had two issues that were like on newsstands, like women issue and called Citizen K International, and men issue called Citizen K Men. They have also like another version for Arabia. Basically, like in Paris, they have those two issues. So I was working for women casting and men casting. So literally, like we had like around 10, 12 shooting per numero, which giving like an extreme volume of work.
Right.
So like literally working nonstop. So you working on an issue, then you already on the next one. Like you don't have any break time. But I feel like it gave me, the strength, the confidence, and also because I've learned that much, like handling also that part of the business, the contracts, working on also with specifics brand, because they have a lot of brand evolving with the magazine.
Right. So that was like your first like solid gig essentially.
That was my very, very first solid gig, because, mind you, when I started working as a casting director, I started doing scouting. Like, scouting is literally like you finding people in the street. We call this street casting, and also scouting because you scout people, on social network or like whatever. I started doing this, and then people started like approaching me, but I never like had a big like huge opportunity in the loop. So like literally, like when this happened, this was like
Big.
the biggest opportunity that I had at the time. Also, I scouted talent for cover story, because casting directors, you have many aspects. You have the one when you specifically working on like editorials, which is most of casting directors are doing. The commercial one that I already told you about, but also casting celebrities was just totally different, because of course when the magazine like Citizen K is known like internationally, you want people that reflect the DNA of the magazine.
Right.
So you have to pick the right people, and it's also like you're negotiating this because of celebrities' talent schedule. So it can be like a singer, a dancer, an actress, someone who has
Audience. Now, on that note,
views.
because I think something that a lot of people would want to know, and I talk about this all the time, let's explain when it comes to models specifically, and when they get cast to be in a magazine, what's the pay like, and what's the benefit for the model to be cast in editorial?
Fashion is not where the money reside. Mostly it's with commercial meaning like campaign, ads, lookbook, stuff like that. Fashion is mostly for them to have like pictures, gain like
Credibility.
views, credibility. For the record, most of the editorial like shooting, models are not paid for that. It's literally like you getting there, being shot, then having the release, having your pictures, and that's all. So basically, it's still like a win-win, because you know why you're doing this. You want to gain, traction. You want to be known. Still, I think it's a great way to showcase how good you are, because literally, me, when I worked on like editorials, basically people came to me and say, oh yeah, we have this for this magazine,
Right.
with this team and whatever. So they're very specific with the brief, and I'm telling you, like working with the magazine, it also like shaped my eye, like in really find the profile that match perfectly the brief. And this is how I'm also telling people that being a casting director is not like only picking people. It's a job. Like you can improvise. Like you need to have some knowledge, skills, and it's also having network. Regarding agencies, you need to be aware of which models are like, trendy. I mean, models.com has to be like a part of, your process to seeking, which profile, which agency, representation worldwide and everything. So, but I've learned that all by myself. Like literally, like I didn't had any like guidance or whatever. I felt like I had some, knowledge, but working with the magazine and having this whole like thing, because you're working with a team also, so you're learning also from people. And even because I knew the magazine for years, because I used to read magazine.
yeah.
Was when I was younger. So it was really like, for me, I felt like a full cycle moment, because I'm like, okay, so now I'm the one handling this. And I feel like it's also giving you credit and credibility in this business, because people will always like say, oh, but I don't think he's like the great fit. Like I've heard so many things, but I'm like, once you know yourself, once you know your ability, your strength, and why people are like always reaching out to you specifically, because they love you, they like your work, your work ethic, and also bringing awareness, because people are kind of misunderstanding that being a model, it can be like really, really hard, and it's not for everyone. Like not everyone can be a model, despite what people think.
Right. They know that. People watching, they know that. I have a whole series. I tell, like, my rejection rate for most people is like 98%.
People used to come to me like, oh, but you look pretty, like you have like the aid and everything, so why don't you modeling? And at some point I was really like considering it, but I'm like, you know what? I had models who literally like came to me sharing their stories and experiences. And at some point, and it was even like way before when I was starting considering being a casting director. And I felt like, I don't know if it's like for me, like the whole thing, having people judging you, telling you like you too big, you're too skinny, and this like having those thoughts, and even at some point feeling alone, and not feeling seen, not feeling well. I'm like, that's a lot.
Right.
And I felt like later when I had this opportunity to working and starting this journey as a casting director, it was literally like, yeah, this is my call.
Better fit for you.
And also it gave me another like eye on it, because I'm kind of really like protective with models, because I'm always like there, because usually, casting directors, when they're working on project, they're not present on the set. It's usually something like they're doing like, from the computer, like
Online, basically.
Online. But most of the time they're never on set. But me, I feel like it was important to be on set, and also to learn, to see
the process
also,
and how everything came together.
because I've been there like way back, but it was me like as a stylist, like it's me as a casting director, so the process is totally different. And I feel like it's important to also comfort the model and give the model all the tips sometimes, and listen to them also, just being there, like listen to them, and show them love, support, and kindness, because this industry is really hard, and most of the time models are treated like shit,
yeah,
talking like shit, treated like shit, like you're a plant,
right. Hanger.
So I feel
mannequin.
like it's really important to just bring awareness to that, and let people know that being a model is not just posing. It's a real job, and it can be really like hard to comprehend and
navigate alone.
Yeah. But mentally, physically. So I feel like it also being a part of my journey as a casting director to show them some support,
Like how to connect and how
Absolutely.
to like be there for, and it's a part of the community thing you were talking about earlier. When we talk about the editorial and you working for the magazine, something that I'm curious to understand too is, where is the money coming from with magazines? Because they're not paying models. I'm not sure if they paid you. I don't know who's actually getting paid. Like,
I was
breakdown,
paid.
demystify magazines. Who does get paid when they do editorial projects? And where does the money come from?
It's literally, the money are coming from brands, because magazine couldn't like exist without advertising. So literally this is where the money is coming from. Having pages with different brand. Let's say like we shooting this like issue for September. September, by the way, is like the biggest month of the year regarding like fashion. and Fashion Week. We have like a reunion. We're talking about like projects, editorials. Like we have a main theme for the magazine. We have different brief regarding each shooting, regarding if it's for like men or women. And yeah, from that we have like this budget defined for the issue and for all the shooting, and the money is literally coming from
Advertisement.
brand advertisement, because literally like Vogue, when you're opening Vogue, the first page that you get through are advertising, literally like 20, at least 20 or 30 pages.
Right.
You know, so this is how brands are like ejecting money, and this is how the magazine literally like are living. Oh, from that, yeah, they split and they give the money to the team.
So photographers get paid, hair makeup artists, stylists, they all get paid. But
Yeah,
so the only person that doesn't get paid is the model. Is that what I'm understanding?
I mean, what I'm saying is that in general, when you're doing editorials,
Don't expect to make a lot of money, basically.
you don't expect to make money and you don't expect to being paid. When I was working with Citizen Gate, they were paying like models, they were paying like the team regarding editorials. Some magazines, they don't. So it's really like, if you're doing editorials, you know that you won't make money, because literally like agents, they know that they will get pictures,
Right.
and when it's print, they will like being able to get the magazine like on hand. But yeah, the money really reside with commercials, ads, campaigns.
And that's even for a casting director.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was doing it all. Literally. Like I started doing mostly like editorials, but
Doesn't pay, doesn't
literally
make
like
money.
doing it all.
Right.
Like commercial also.
Okay, so with magazines though, a lot of people don't buy magazines nowadays. So I guess that's why I'm like so confused as to like how a magazine sustains itself in order for them to actually even afford to like hire a team and then pay for like each production. So knowing that people, well, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of my experience back in the United States, but I don't know how magazines are regarded here in France. Like, this is the fashion capital of the world. Are people still engaging in buying magazines off the newsstands? Are they still reading it? What's your experience with that?
I feel like me, since like I was a kid, I was always like into reading like magazines, like fashion magazines, like Vogue, Numero, like even like Citizen K and other ones. And I was always like stunned by the fact that you had so many page of
Content,
ads.
yeah.
Like this is what I told you, with Vogue. When you like reading Vogue, the really like first page you like had is only advertising. And I'm telling you, this is literally like how they put the money in magazine, and how magazine keep, giving you like this. Even if now everything is digital, like you can tell, digital cover story, digital editorial, like campaign, everything is digital. So I feel like it's also like the relationship you have with brands, because this is literally like the brands who give you like those like input to still being here like money wise. So I feel like you need to like it's the relationship. It's literally like a relationship
Is it
thing.
kind of like you need me and I need you and we need each
Yeah,
other?
it's a win-win. So literally, let's say Dior is gonna put money in your magazine. So in exchange, you will have those shooting editorials with we call this like special or focus mainly with one brand. So literally like it can be Dior, it can be whatever, Gucci. So I feel like it's win-win. Like we give you the money, you give me like
The content and the exposure.
the exposure, and that like in
So
return.
it's like the credibility as well. So it's like,
And it's also how stylists being invited to shows, because of course when you're working with magazines, you have to cover Fashion Week, all
Right.
those events, and even like being aware of what is going on with the news, in fashion. So yeah, it also like this relationship that you keep making grow. And yeah, so they're inviting you like to shows, presentation, and when you have like those big editorials, because the thing is, there's so many magazines, so it's kind of it's a huge competition because literally like throughout the year we like probably shooting at the same time at some point, and it's like a battle to like, okay, who's gonna get those pieces, who's gonna, you know, because yeah, fashion is literally like, you know,
A lot of competition.
full level competition.
So if I'm a model who wants to be in an editorial, okay, let's talk about just the spread in the issue versus the cover. How, you're a casting director, how do I get a spread in an editorial with a big magazine or even on a cover? How do I land a cover? How does that work? What are the inner workings behind that?
I mean, it really depends of the casting directors and how they work. Me usually I start like we have those conversations, whether it's for me working specifically with a magazine or because sometimes you have editors but you don't have magazine, you know, also. So you also need to figure out like the whole thing, like where it's gonna be released. But regarding your question, so magazine what? Let's say the magazine is already like in the loop. So I have this brief, whether they're looking for like a male or a female. What I will do first is to make sure that I understood the brief, like the profile, but also matching the mood board, the theme. Then I'm gonna start looking to. Sometimes I already profile in mind when like whether the project is inspiring me. I mostly have someone in mind, so I'm gonna like write, you know, names like people that would be great, making a list, even agencies, because that's the thing. When you're casting director, you need to know and being in touch with all the agencies, whether you're in Paris or overseas. That's part of your job. And if not, you need to reach out to them, make sure that you know them and make sure that they know you as well. So it's also when I said like network, this is the biggest part of it. You need to have those agencies already on your list. So basically, yeah, this is me then reaching out to those agencies saying, yeah, I have this profile. So they're like, you know, you send the mail, all details, team, date, location, and everything, brief, joining the mood board and explaining the brief, because that's the thing that I've learned a lot as a casting director. When you reach out to agencies, most of the time they never like understand and like have an understanding on the brief. They will send you, so literally they reply to you saying if they're like agreed to being a part of the project or not, and then saying, oh, so we have this profile for you, those models for you. So literally like this sending a package,
Right.
that's what we call it. It's literally like a file or like a link with models and their portfolios and polas, because you need to see them naturally. And this is literally like me choosing and picking the people. You have different process. My process is literally like picking specific profile from what they sent me, made a list, sending them to the team and saying, those are my picks for this editorial. Because this is also how you can tell if I understood the brief or not. And regarding what the team will say, you will adjust. You will say, okay, so this one is not working, this one is working. So when it's working, we put an option. We put an option on the model. We tell the agencies that we like this profile, so we would like to put a first
option.
Yeah, literally like generally a first option. This is like the go. You have it blocked for the date of the shooting you wanted to have it. If not, because some models they already option for other things, because of course there are many projects around and they book for many things, you know. So literally it could be like second option. So you have to wait updates on their availability for that date because they were already booked for something else. And yeah, then keep browsing, keep looking, searching. And yeah, at some point you have the ones that you want. And from that, you choose literally, like, it depends of the profile. Sometimes you're looking for like 1, 2, 3, like can be multicasting also.
Right.
So
How often do you like, I guess towards the end of like when you guys are deciding, what is the competition usually look like? Like among 3 models, you guys select one, like what, because you know, option is one of the most annoying things for models to get.
Really? Yeah, I have no
So,
idea.
like, but from their perspective, like when they are an option, what usually are they an option amongst other, like how many other models are they an option with?
I mean, it really depends. It can be like from 10 to 20 to like, I mean, it really depends. For editorials, like, yeah, it's really like, you don't have like a specific number, but I will say, yeah, 10, 20. When
Wow.
it's like, when you're looking for one model, yeah, it can lead to, yeah, 10, sometimes less
I
than
would have
10.
thought like three, but wow, I didn't realize that there's so many that are,
But I feel like,
which is models.
but
That's all. That's how
no,
much
but
you're.
I no, but I feel like it's really depending on you, and also when I said understanding of the brief, if you literally like understood the brief, you don't need to have that many options. Like me,
Right.
sometimes even if it's two models, when you know, I think it's even better because when you know and like understood like the brief, you know exactly which profile would work. So you want like ask all the model around the world. You
Right.
know,
Right.
you're not gonna option all the models around the world. So it's mainly like you and your eye. So if you understood, yeah, you're like, yeah, this one right there will fit perfectly.
So, okay, real quick, because I have two questions to ask you, but how many models do you think for like an editorial project, for instance, do you guys, would you say circulate through? Like, are you talking about 100, 500? Like, how many do you actually like, and is it worldwide or is it just in France and Paris?
You mean for
For
one
like a project, for like
one
a
project?
yeah, for like an editorial project. Let's say for September issue of Citizen K. Okay, you're casting for an editorial. How many models would you say that you're going through to find the one that you guys are going to book?
I mean, when it comes to this specifically, because it's a magazine, I will say maybe like 30 models, something like that, even more, because it's different. Because you're looking for specifically profile matching a brief, a theme, and it's for a magazine. So the necessity to find this specific profile is really mandatory. Like you need to, even if you like looking for people who are not like Paris based, like overseas, because at some point you need to reach out to agencies worldwide, because if you don't find what you want here, you need to find out elsewhere. So I feel like, yeah, it can lead to huge, you know, like many profiles.
Right.
So I would say like, yeah, 30, even more.
When you can't find someone in Paris, how far out do you guys go? I mean, like, do you fly in someone from the United States sometimes?
Yeah, that's the thing. So literally when we have those reunions, we also determine like the budget, like the flight budget. I mean, I know that this specifically was an issue at some point, but it's necessary because I know literally when you specifically looking for, I would say even like black models, because that was for most of the time my main issue. And even knowing that you're in Paris, you know, this city is full of, you know, people of color, especially black, but still in those contexts, it was really hard to find. Like I'm saying this, like as an example, when I was looking for dark skin models, that really was an issue for me to find like dark skin models, because also you have the vision of the magazine, you have also your eye. So at some point, and also, you know, it's part of the process, you know, with the team, because the photographer has his word to say, the stylist has his word to say, the art director has his or her word to say. So at some point, you have to also notice this in your process. So this is why sometimes it's literally giving you like fight
Yeah. There's a lot of tension
to make a
sometimes.
decision.
Right.
But yeah, I will say that it's sometimes it's really hard, because when you're looking for a very specific profile, it can lead you to, yeah, a very long process. And I had times when I was really like struggling to find people, even like, you know, Indian people, specific ethnicities.
Go fly out, a bunch
Yeah.
of people. So, who has the final say usually?
The final say is from the editor, the creative director of the magazine, like the ones who own, you know, the magazine. But yeah, before that, it's basically between the photographer, the stylist, the DA, or the editor in chief. But it's always like a team process,
Right.
you know.
Okay, then the other question I was going to ask is how important is social media when you are casting talent? Like, do you look at their Instagrams? Like, do you just look at their portfolios? You look at their Instagrams?
That's a very good question, because when I started, I was actually trying to figure it out if I should have creating an account like separate than my personal one, because I was like, why should I just like put this on my personal, you know, account, even if I'm like sharing other stuff like personal thing. And I'm like, you know, you need to think business. You know, that's part of, you know, this journey when you're freelancer, independent. You need to think business. You need to think who's going to see, who's going to watch. It's part of your strategy. It's part of how you communicate. So at some point I was like, no, I need a separate page. I need a proper page to show my work. I need a proper page to show people how I pick the different range of model. Because, you know, when I started, I was having this thing in mind. Like, I've seen many like people being in front of like covers, doing like editorials, ad and everything, but in general mostly the same. And I feel like at some point it was part of my job to highlight different profile. Like, I really had a thing with like people, you know, different, like strong features, different, you know, type of, you know, style, even like the measurement, like tall, small. And I think it's also part of it, because really like now people want to see them at some point. They want to feel that they can relate to that person, like even if it's still like something they wouldn't like imagine. But I love the fact that you can see an advertising and be like, oh, that could be me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I felt like at some point I wanted to bring that, even if I had no clue, like no experience in casting. But I felt like it's also like meeting people, learning from models experiences, model who were literally like struggling getting signed, struggling working,
Right.
and knowing that even if you're not represented, you can still do modeling. I mean, it will like lead you to have some, you know, strong mindset, but still like you can do it. And I feel like this was like the best reward for me, like casting people who wasn't basically models, but
Right.
they managed to do it, and they do it really well, you know.
So again, to when you're scouting talent, like for editorials or for campaigns or for shows, like how often do you go on their socials to actually like look more into them to decide whether or not they're right for the profile
I'm on
or right
social
for the brief?
I'm on social every day. Like, I'm on social every day. You know, like when we were like locked down, literally that was the only way to find model. So literally like picking people on social network,
Okay.
casting calls, like same. And I feel like it also gave us like this insight of, you know, browsing more and thinking outside of the box. Because most of casting directors, I mean, I'm not going to say most, but for some of them, they usually just go with agencies sending them like package and they're done. I feel like me, I also learned to shape my eye through scouting and street casting, because literally the people you find in the street are not the one represented. And this is also when you have like specific brief with clients asking for this or this type of profile. This is how you can show them that you have an eye, because you have this whole
You can find talent.
database
Right.
of talent that you already started or that you had an eye on. And this is part of the process as casting director. It's not only like choosing people from agencies, it's going outside, watching around, going on social networks and find the people that you can find actually in true model agencies.
Now, explain to everybody real quick, what is street casting?
Street casting is basically casting people in the street. So literally like I will be out. I will say like, oh, let's spend an afternoon and street cast people. So I will go like in Paris, where like the area. I mean, there are specific areas where you know that you will find like people, because those areas like are like gentrified, and there's many like people. So yeah, basically street casting is casting someone in the streets, or it can be, in a restaurant, in a bar, like whatever place. Like literally like going outside and finding people outside.
Now, are these people signed or unsigned?
No, most of those people, I mean, they can be signed, but most of the time when you say street casting, it's people who are not signed. Like basically people like you, no experience,
yeah, right.
like they have no clue. And it's funny because the and it was really challenging for me, because the very first time I did it, I had no expectation. I was like, okay, let's see, let's do it, and we will see, and from that shape it, for the next time. And yeah, most of the time people are like, surprised, like people. And we have this thing in Paris when people, they are not really like nice, I will say, sometimes. So when you approach them, they're gonna look at you like you're a weirdo or whatever. But I mean, most of the time people are just, they're surprised, but they're curious. They're like, oh, why not? Let's do it, So basically, it's me asking them if they had an experience already, if they were already approached for this type of thing, like if modeling was something they already thinking about. And yeah, then I'm explaining my job as a casting director, and now basically telling them, oh, I'm working on this profile for like times I'm working on things, and I'm looking for specifically for people for a project. And yeah, taking them information, measurements, social media, and yeah, just like keeping in touch with them.
But these people that you street cast, they're not necessarily going to be like signed models. I'm assuming some of them can be just random people, and it's like kind of like a one-off thing.
Yeah.
So just because someone gets street cast, don't expect a modeling career. It's just like,
I'm very transparent. Like, because people always think that, oh, I'm gonna be a model, I'm gonna make money or whatever. No, I'm very transparent. My job is casting director. So basically, don't expect from me to put you as like,
like launch a career.
Yeah. I'm always saying it's an opportunity for you to have an experience, but you need to be aware that it cannot happen. It's part of the casting, but just reminding them that I keep them in my database, and whether like the project, if it's not working for this one, but it can work for something else. So whether the project, we'll stay in touch, and yeah, I will like give you a hint every time I have like a casting or things happening, because I'm not gonna reach out to you if your profile don't fit.
Right.
It's a waste of time for both of us. But yeah, I'm always like fully transparent with it. Like I'm not like a career maker, or giving them like hopes or being delusional. I'm very transparent.
What are things you look for when you're casting for models on their Instagram? Or what would you say models get wrong, and what would you like advise models to do to actually be castable?
That's a funny question, because when I casting models, even like in general for editors or whatever, social media is like has a huge part on my decision, because now everything is related to social media. And sometimes when bookers are sending me books of their models, it's not giving the same as the Instagram of the model. Like the Instagram is giving more insight, content, and what I want to see, personality. What I love to see when I'm picking profile on social media is to get to know the model through like their like lifestyle, their interest, if they have a sense of, how to pose, how to, like if they know what suits them like best, profile and everything. And yeah, literally like scrolling and watching that through the pictures, like literally everything. I'm literally like watching everything.
So it's really important for you that the models get their
It's really important, because at some point it's part of it, because for most of models now, you can tell like their Instagram is literally like,
Digital portfolio.
yeah, it's their portfolio. Like it's literally like how you gonna sell your image like a brand, you
Right.
know? So it's really important because I feel like it's also how you can tell. I mean, sometimes it depends because sometimes you can see like Instagrams, and when you're meeting like the model like in real, it's sometimes not giving why you saw on
Right. Right.
Instagram. This is why we doing something called go and see when we watching like we're seeing model like 1-to-1
In person.
in person. So basically it's something usually you do with agencies, like you tell them, oh, I want to see this profile if is like available and in town, so we can have like a little like chit chat
And it's
moment.
one-on-one, right? Because what's the difference between an open, not an open call, but what's the difference between a casting call where like you see them,
Yeah,
you see a
yeah.
whole line of person versus
Go
a
and
go
see
see?
is usually one on one. I mean, you can have like several models, but it's usually like one on one. Every model like wait to have their turn, but casting call like is different. Like it's like open call, so they're like you have a lot of models coming, and you're like, yeah, it's
Right.
so.
Real quick to wrap up on the Instagram question, what are things that models get wrong that you like want to tell models stop doing this about Instagram and the things that you see?
Well. I saw many things to be honest. No, joke aside, I will say sometimes they don't really know how to sell themselves. Like we're gonna see a bunch of things, but it's not reflecting their personality. So I will say it's important to showcase your personality more and giving less of the random things, I will say, because at some point you're a model, so it's your image. So people were like scrutinize everything, you know? So I feel like it's really important to know what works for you, like, picture wise, because sometimes they don't know even what is their best profile. Be careful what you posting because people are watching. Show more of your personality because sometimes you're going into a model page but you only see like editorials or stuff like that. When you want to see personality, we want to see who you are, not only as a model but as a person, so it's really important to show that, because I feel like when also you have those go and see and even like casting call, open casting, it's where you get to see the personality of the models, and I mean kind of know them also because you're gonna ask question and get to know what they do, what they love, their personal like things of their personal life and
Right.
interest in general.
Which on that note, now let's talk about go season casting calls. And, I think a lot of models struggle with even knowing how to sell themselves in person. So what are things that you advise models when you're meeting with them in person, like how they should carry themselves, what their demeanor should be when they meet with you in person?
Being natural, I will say. Don't be too stressed. I mean, it's part of it. But being natural, don't overthink. Don't try to be someone that you're not. Just be as like authentic as possible. We want to. What I love to see in models is realness and rawness. Sometimes, like get to know you through. Yeah, even if you had like I don't know, like bad experiences or issues, or you went through like those things, and this is literally like those things that shape you and made you like the person that you are, and this is why you have like all this strength, and also knowing what you love, what you like, what is your interest, whether like it's art, whether it's music, whether like, I think it's really important to create a relationship. And me, even when I was working on with Citizen K, being on set also, it's how I build the relationship with them. because I get to know them, to learn from them as well, and treat them, equally, like with respect. Because I felt like at some point it was important for me to be there, and having also this thing as a mentor, because I know it can be like hard and exhausting and challenging and scary sometimes, being in front of people and literally like posing, when sometimes they don't even give you like attention or time,
Very
or
dismissive and
yeah, or even like what they expect, like a brief or direction. Sometimes models like come on set and photographers expect them to
just know
pose
everything and
just like that, but they didn't like even them like
direction.
direction or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, like communication,
Right. Now, on that note, what are some questions that you would ask models when you see them in person for go-sees? Like, what are some questions that they can prepare for?
Oh, usually, what do you do in life? What are your interests? How did you get into modeling? And how would you like describe yourself? Those
Interesting.
kind of.
And now tell me, what's like the worst case scenario where a model you met did everything wrong?
Mm, like
They
in
should,
go and see.
yeah, like with you. Like, give me an example. Give us a story of where a model just turned you off completely and tell us why they turned you off completely.
It can be like whatever
Or
experience.
whatever, yeah.
Okay. I had actually several experience with some models when I started this journey, because I also was a model agent. So for the people to know, model agent is different than being a casting director. It's literally like you have this talent that you believe in and that you want to represent. So you're the one who's gonna push for that model to be seen, represented nationally, internationally, like worldwide. Put them as huge, huge project, and it's also why specifically when you're a model agent, you need to have a huge network to bring opportunity. So literally I had those experience as a model agent. And I remember like when I started, I worked with one model, and I was literally like, it's insane how much work you put, especially like in just one person. And at some point, like literally, like we met on set, and I saw him and I was like, he has really like an interesting profile, and I want to work with him like as a model agent, like to represent him and push his profile. So this is how we started working together. Then I put him into an agency, and literally like when he started being represented with that agency, everything like blow up, like took off for him. And literally at that time, he was doing everything: editorial, campaign, shows, like all of it. And at some point, he told me that he doesn't want like to continue this
Relationship.
relationship. And I was like, why? And he wrote me a letter. I don't remember like all of it, but they're like saying that he wanted to go on his own, that he has those things regarding him and the vision that he has for himself and everything. So they're like, he just wanted to pursue on his own. He was grateful for everything and all the opportunities, and I was like, this is insane, because I was literally the one who like pretty like forefront, like having those
Opportunities.
opportunities and everything. And I really felt that it was kind of a betrayal, to be honest, because it's like you not acknowledging all the things that I've done. But you know what? I felt like it was part of my journey and experience, and it shaped me also on the relationship part, because people don't realize that. But when you're a motor agent, it's also like you know all the aspects with the model that you represent, like the professional and the personal life. So it can be a lot at some point because you have to handle all of it. And this is where I was like, I feel like my thing is really like working as a casting director. Mother Agent is something where I wasn't really comfortable and I did mistakes, of course, but I've burned myself, and I felt like at some point, this part, I don't like it, you know?
Right.
And even as a casting director, you're dealing with a lot of people. You're dealing with egos, a lot of egos. But yeah, I felt like this experience was really like it wasn't what I expected, but I felt like it was a blessing in a way because I've learned from it, I've grown from it, and I'm also grateful for it because everything happened for a reason, and you learn from everything, rather like in the good and the bad,
Right.
and you know more about yourself. So I feel like it's part of the growing
Pains
process.
of all this.
Absolutely.
So specifically now, when this is a good story. So I'm glad that you said that, because I also, I think mother agents all kind of struggle with that. Like, you build someone up and then they kind of like leave you, and yeah, don't want to experience that. Because I'm a mother agent as well. I have like two boys. I tell you that.
Yes. You told
I
me.
only want two boys. I'm not gonna do more than that. Okay? I don't need
I
to do more
told
than
you,
that. Yeah.
it's a lot. People think it's easy, but you have to deal with humans. You know,
these are relationships.
So
It's a lot.
It's relationship.
Very
it's
deep, especially if you're trying to be good. You have to be like on top of like every aspect. Yeah.
And the thing is, those people are reaching out to you like 24/7. So it's really like you need to put boundaries at some point. Even like when I was working, as a casting director with Season K, like at some point I felt like it's important to let people know that you're human too, and you need to have those boundaries,
Right.
especially for your mental health.
So what I was specifically asking when that question was, at a go-see or a casting, what was like a turn off for a model that showed up to a go-see or casting with you for a project that you were casting for, and what did they do at that casting that you would warn models, do not do this at a casting because someone did this and I never wanted to work with them again, or I didn't like them. Today's podcast is brought to you by me, Brandon Andre. If you're a model who wants to become a working model, then you need to enroll in my Model Masterclass today. In my online class, I teach models how to make more money by showing them how to manage their careers as a business. From getting signed, to building a portfolio that gets you jobs, to building an audience on TikTok and Instagram, then monetizing it, to learning how to win the favor from your agents and casting directors, to learning how to brand yourself on social media, and how to lure in brands and brand deals to increase your income as a model. Getting signed doesn't mean you'll get work, but learning how to run a business does. So enroll in my Model Masterclass now by going to my website at brandonandrephoto.com.
I don't have specific thing that came in mind. What I will say is that, because I know that it's an issue, models are like, they have like their measurements, and some models, they're either like too tall or too small. So at some point they're lying on their measurement. Don't lie. I will say it's just that at some point we will figure it out. We will know, and we will see. We'll see.
But it's not the models that lie; it's the agencies.
It's the agencies, but some models are lying too. But I will say sometimes, like, I get it. Even me, when I see like many like com cards and composite of models, I'm like, oh, that's too bad because he's too tall or he's too short. Or
what
whatever.
is too tall for you? What height?
190, 91.
What is that in feet?
We start from 183, 84. That's the smallest for men. But yeah.
How often do you cast male models that are 192, 193?
Not that often, but there is a few. Even more right now. Like, I was in Mexico City and I met a guy who was literally 194 6'4", something like very, very tall. And he told me that he was actually struggling. He's from Germany, but he's living in Mexico City right now. He's represented there. And this is why I'm telling you, like, the market is different depending on the countries. Here, very specific, thin, measurement wise. If you don't fit, the client needs, even the agency's mold, this is literally why many people are struggling to be represented here. But yeah, I met this guy and he told me, he was literally like struggling because of his age. But he has this opportunity to work, like being represented in Germany and now in Mexico City. So I feel like if you're struggling,
try a different market.
Yeah,
that's great advice. London. Yeah. Okay, so now I want to talk about castings for shows. Because Chaz, yesterday I interviewed him and he told me, like, he was giving me kind of insights to, like, what his experience is going to castings. And, because I asked him, like, what would you tell models are preparing how to walk and do a walk for casting directors? And he asked me to ask you, because he's like, don't look at casting directors in the eye when you're doing your walk, because it's too intimidating for them. Yeah. So do you agree with that? What do you feel about?
I mean, I didn't do that much casting for shows, but what I will say is that you need to be confident in your walk, because casting directors, especially specifically for shows, they watching everything, so they will feel if you're stressed, they'll feel if you counting your steps, they'll see everything. So I will say, fake it till you make it. Literally, like, bring this energy, even if it's giving like extra confidence, but we want to see that what you're doing, that you can handle it, that you are that one, literally, like, when we see you, we only see you, because it can be like 100% in the room, but you're that person. We're like, okay, he's the one or she's the one. So I will say, come with confidence, even if you're not that confident, fake it, whatever. And also practice your walk with music, watch videos, ask people around you, rehearse, even like randomly in the streets, but practice.
Have you ever held a casting and it's like a runway walk and a model breaks character in the middle of their walk? I think I would. I feel like at a certain point I'm like, I can't take this seriously, and you start laughing.
I mean, I saw many things. I feel like it's more
What's the craziest thing you've seen a model do at a casting?
Wow. Not knowing what he or she was doing. But still making it otherwise.
How often do they know what the project is? Like, do you struggle with that? It's like they show up, but they don't even know what the job is and what like...
I mean, sometimes they don't. So we reminding them, of course, why they're here. But no, usually most of the time they know. Like, when you send like a casting call, you put all the even if it's a short like description, you literally like saying who you want to see, why you want to see them, and where you want to see them, so they have the infos,
right?
Usually. But yeah, I will say everything can happen, in casting calls. But I would say, even if you, I don't know, like misstep or like didn't walk the way you wanted to walk, just be authentic.
Do you get like a chance to redo something? Like, is it like super fast paced? Like, if you mess up, or like, how rigid are these casting calls for models?
I mean, it really depends. In fashion, I will say mostly like when it's for like shows, they don't have time. So even if it's either like, you walk and then they just get,
so you have one shot.
Yeah, you have one shot. You don't have, I mean, it's very specific. When it's for like go and see, you have more time. It's not like the same energy, and it's usually like 1-to-1, so it's totally different. So you're gonna make sure I mean, for my part, I'm gonna make sure to make the model comfortable. Even like for big things, but big things like shows, it's kind of stressful because you have those models waiting and you don't have time, you know? And this is why we have different part of casting, like pre-casting, casting, recall, fitting, where you're not sure you're recalling people, or where you have like someone who's not able to work anymore, so you have to reach out to that person that you actually dismissed. So yeah, everything happened. So this is why, as a casting director, you need to know all the process. You need to be aware. You need to, yeah, be prepared. So that's what I'm telling people. Like, the thing is now, everyone is a casting director, literally. Like stylist. Everyone is a stylist. So I feel like it's a bit frustrating for us who like put in work for years to see people like even like stealing your job. So it's always like reminding you to, yeah, know who you are, like just being focused, being
Right.
focused and know exactly what you're doing.
Now, going back to casting and the different processes, how important are digitals for the casting process as a casting director?
I mean, I would say before the digital era, like we didn't have like to think. I mean, when I started casting, digital was already there. So for the old school people, it was totally different. But I
And then
was,
I'm sorry, because let me clarify. If I click, so you guys call digitals Polaroids here. So when I say digitals, I'm talking about Polaroids. Is that what you understand?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, it's me, like in my process, it's literally like as much important as when I see someone, like in Go and See, because yeah, you can't escape it. Like digital is literally like everywhere. And I told you, like, when COVID happened, this was the only way to, to cast, to choose people, to reach out to people. And it's also in a way a good thing because you can have this whole like database of people that you basically casted or scouted on social media, because you didn't have the opportunity to meet them in real life. And it's part of it because sometimes you don't have time to, you know, do go and sees. And even me, like when I started, I did go and sees until maybe after like a year or two, even like more, because we were locked down. So this is literally the way that I had to shape my vision, and it was part of my process as a casting director and how I learned to do what I do. So basically, like reaching out to people, sending them DMs, and catch them like specifically for those project, like
So,
watching their
right.
whole page.
What do you look for in a modeling digital?
Again, personality. People who are not like professional model can give you more than professional model, you know. Sometimes like I had shooting with like models from agencies and they gave me nothing on set, like nothing. You have to drive them, you have to, of course, you have to give them direction, but some
Right.
models, like, you don't need to tell them anything, they're just like,
Right, right.
instantly. I want to see personality.
How do you show personality though in digitals when digitals are just them standing in a white wall and
Because you have videos as well, like talking, even your caption, like your sense of humor, how you deal, with stuff, and how you show yourself, how you present yourself in your Instagram, because you can tell that some people, they like they show themselves in a way like very, very specific, even in your style.
right, right. That's why I teach people like you have to have an aesthetic. A
Yeah,
lot of people don't have an aesthetic, but
absolutely.
I'm assuming the process for you is you receive a model package, you see the portfolio, you see their Instagram link, and you see their digitals, right? So of the three, they obviously all play a big part in what makes you decide whether or not they're a fit for the project. What would you say is like, if you rank them from most important to least important, what would you say it is? Between Instagram, their modeling digitals, and their portfolio.
I will say portfolio
Is number one.
I mean, it depends. But the two first for sure, portfolio and digital, because it's how you see how the model pose, you see him in different ways. Because sometimes they used to do like same editorial, same things with the same hairstyle or,
Right.
But digital is as much important as the portfolio because it's really like raw. You see the model naturally, and it's also how you shape your vision because sometimes you don't have like for new models, new faces, they don't have portfolio. They're creating their image. So you only have digitals. But I think it could be a good one. Like he or she could be a good one, even if you don't have like any portfolio, even if the Instagram is not giving because they don't have portfolio. So this is also your job as a casting director to have the vision to see that this person is fitted, even if you don't have all of this.
The potential.
Absolutely, see the potential. And I feel like this is also how I shape my vision as a casting director, like seeing people with nothing being that. Like literally, I started new faces, like a lot of new faces lately, and particularly like a black model called Oduni. And it was also because she wasn't supposed to be the model actually that we casted for the shooting, because the one we casted, like we couldn't like shoot her anymore. So basically it was very last minute, and I reached out to all the agencies to find another black girl. There's one agent called Winnie from Titanium who sent me the profile of Aduni, and literally like there were three, Aduni and two other girls, and Aduni like literally was the one. And I didn't have any like portfolio. I only have like her digital, and I was like, she's the one. And my God, she gave. I was upset. I'm telling you, when I shared the pictures, everyone was gagging. Everyone was gagging. I shared on Instagram, I shared on TikTok, everyone was gagging. And I felt like, okay, like I knew.
Yeah. No, that's the most rewarding part, when you can take someone that has nothing and then like kind of build them up.
Yeah.
And because you saw potential in them. Now, who would you say are like the biggest models you've cast for your projects? Like name drop the people that you've either made happen or built, or some of the big faces you've had the privilege of.
I will say I have a lot. One of the like for me, she was literally like everything. I used to see her doing many shows and being faces of huge brands. Lindsay Wingson, which I had for a cover for Citizen K. Yerai Algeyer, who walked a lot for Margiela, also for Citizen K. Men Noor Shelton. I worked with her a lot. Lately, I did a cover with her for a magazine called French Magazine. I worked with the French actor also, Lucas Bravo. Oh, we did this one cover with a girl called Chloe Ting for Season K. This was actually huge because it was a special Louis Vuitton Yayoi Kusama. And this cover was huge with like dots, like the makeup, the colors and everything. You can see it on my Instagram. I've pinned it. Maybe more, like I don't have the name, like I'm really bad with the name. But yeah, for the ones that was really like marking a turning point in my job, yeah, those was the one that I've said it.
So with all of your experience being a casting director, and you also mentioned that there's a lot of competition, or not competition, but there's a lot of people that are calling themselves like casting directors. What would you say makes you set apart, and why should a company decide to hire you to cast for them?
I think for me, the thing that I wanted to make sure people get with my job as a casting director, when they go to my page, like they see that I can literally like do casting for everything, from editorials to beauty to campaign. Like specifically for some casting, I always trying to push for profile that we don't really highlight in general, like people who are different, people with different backgrounds, even people who are not, traditional model. So literally like just make the difference in my vision and my casting, like everything which can like show you that yeah, this is literally like my vision and this is how I work, and people who used to work with me, like they know exactly how I work and my vision, so they trust me. Yeah, I can full understand your brief,
Vision
your
and-
vision, and fulfill your need.
What would you say is like the most fun thing to cast for?
What I love casting for is literally find that person that no one like thought about, and literally like see the potential, see the vision, like envision it, and be like, yes, like this is the one, and no one else think about that person before, and literally when the project come out, like literally like you gagging, like
Right.
got everyone gagging. This is I think this is the rewarding part, because it's part of it when you like casting someone.
Yeah.
It's you and how you showing to the world that this is your job, and this is something that is not like for everyone, and people need to get that. I spent like hours discussion, scrolling, watching, calling, mailing to get that people like literally in front of the camera, and having that profile who suits the project perfectly. So I feel like, yeah, for me the best part is that finding the person that matched the brief like really well, and say, yeah, I did it, and people see it, and people are like, oh yeah, so he's really doing he's really doing it, like he knows exactly what he's doing, and this is
Right.
why we want to work with him.
Okay, and then I think when people watch this, they're gonna really like you because I think you seem really genuine, and I think it's cool
Thank you.
because I think yeah,
I really appreciate
of
that.
course, I think that people are often intimidated by casting directors, like models. I think they are scared of casting directors because they want to make sure, like, I want to get on in good. I want to be in good standing with them, which leads me to my next question about, all the models that are watching this, right? How can they get on your radar? What's the appropriate connection that they should have with you? If they follow you on Instagram, what's the appropriate engagement that they should be having with you to not like, hey Marvin, cast me in your next project in your DMs, but like, what would you say is the most effective and appropriate way for models who are watching to kind of, build a connection, a relationship with you and put themselves on your radar?
I think it's mostly like there are many ways to, I mean, not so many, but they can reach out to me through DMs on my personal Instagram or in my professional one, or mailing, you know. So basically, I would just say,
When you say mailing, you mean emails?
yeah,
Right?
email,
Okay.
yeah. So I would just say like, just come as you are. Don't be afraid. And sorry if I'm not replying, because I know like you receive like many message, and you don't really like get the proper time to reply to everyone, especially when those messages like appear like outside of
Right.
your DMs. But yeah, just literally like come as you are, hit me, whatever the question, whatever the project. I mean, even sometimes when I'm doing casting calls like on social media, people are reaching out to me this way also. So yeah.
So like basically follow him on Instagram, look out for when he does casting calls.
M Fashionista and Models Lane.
There you go. And then, but definitely don't harass him with a bunch of questions
Yeah.
and like, but engage with him, watch his stories and like his stuff, comment on his stuff. Do you find people sometimes when they like your photos or when they're leaving
Yeah.
comments?
I mean, some people are even, commenting under your post to get attention. They comment under your post. So, yeah. Rather like DM or send me a message, and yeah, even like reacting to one of my story,
Yeah.
to get my attention, but or send me a mail, basically.
Yeah. One last question I wanted to ask you before we wrap up. What is one thing that you would warn or advise models who are looking to get into this industry or even models who are already signed in working?
First, ask yourself if it's something that you want to do, because modeling is a job. It's not for everyone. And as I said, it's something that can be really hard mentally, physically, outside of the whole thing that people used to see, like watching advertising campaign, and that you make money, you travel and everything, but there's ugliness behind the scenes, I can tell. So make sure that you're aware of why you want to do this, and asking you if it's really something that you want to get into. And also for the models who's working already in this industry, don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to speak your truth, because I've learned so many things about models having bad experiences. And I felt like it's also because they don't really felt insecurity or safe enough to address things that they experience in their career. So I feel like it's really important to have a great support system, as I already said, to make sure that the people who are working with you have your best interest, that they listen to you, that they hear you, that they see you, that they value you, but like really make the time when it's necessary to make sure that they understand that there are moments when you're not feeling well and you want to address things, or whatever it is, if it's like regarding money, or a shooting, or a photographer who have like an appropriating behavior. Yeah, all of this should be addressed. So it's really important to speak out. Don't be afraid to also call out people when it's necessary, because I feel like we're still too scared to say things. And yeah, I've heard so many disgusting things, and this is also why I feel like I'm really kind of protective regarding models, because yeah, for most of the time they're not respected, they're not treated like humans. So I feel like it's really important to listen to them.
Going off of that, now I do have another question to ask, but what do you think that casting directors get wrong? And what would be, some advice or warning to other casting directors that are out there to ensure that they approach it from the same attitude that you do?
I think being human, like really human, like have empathy, because most of the time they don't care. Like, you jump from a job to another, but you're not really acknowledging models, for what they do. Because literally they're the ones who actually make the money, and that, agent, bookers, and even us getting paid, So I think sometimes it's great to remind people that, and also casting directors, that they have humans in front of them, so treat them as well.
Do you think that casting directors are known to have egos, or who do you think?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Like I saw many things, like on set, outside, even agencies, bookers having really, really bad behaviors regarding models, even casting directors. So yeah, it's really important to treat models with respect.
Right. Well, thank you, Marvin, for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have connected with you in Paris.
I mean, I have to say, it's my first time doing a podcast, being interviewed. So I'm really glad that you asked me to be there and share my experience. And I hope people will see what it is and being more familiar with the job of casting director.
It would definitely help me because I'm like, oh, this is like, so there's a lot of things that I kind of knew already, but a lot of things that you kind of just confirmed or just like expanded in detail. And I thought it was really interesting. So,
and again, it was my experience. So I'm not saying that it's the same for everyone, and I'm still learning and improving and evolving. But yeah, this is literally like sharing my journey,
which is cool because I feel like everyone that I interview are like really humble, just cool people. You know, like I haven't really gotten anyone that I've interviewed that I felt like, oh, they're kind of like cocky. So I feel like it's cool to be able to spotlight people that should be spotlight,
absolutely,
and not bringing on people that are like menaces to society and stuff.
Agree on this.
But okay, go ahead and plug your social media where people can find you.
So my personal Instagram, mfashionisto, and to reach out to all my jobs as a casting director, everything that I do with it, it's Models Lane. So yeah, you can find me on both of them.
Awesome. All right, Marvin. Well, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me again.
Next time I'm in Paris.
Yes, absolutely. And next time you're coming, let me know.
Okay, well.
Because there's so many things that you need to see.
Yes. Thanks for listening to today's show. And don't forget to hit that follow button to be in the loop when a new episode drops. Be sure to check out my model masterclass by visiting my website, brandonandrephoto.com, or by clicking the link in my bio on Instagram @thebrandonandre.